Hi, welcome to Bar Cart Bookshelf, a video series about books and the drinks they inspire. My name is Elias, and today we're talking about The First Binding by R.R. Virdi. The First Binding is the first entry in a brand new epic fantasy series, The Tales of Tremaine. It's a wonderfully developed world inspired by the wide travels of the Silk Road across Eurasia, and really centered on a fantastical version of the Indian subcontinent here in Volume 1, as well as a far-off kingdom on the other side of the world. It's a story about a storyteller and a story about storytelling, and has wonderfully lush prose to match a real, sort of fantasy for people who love words and who like to play with words, who like rhyme and meter, and a wonderful lyricism, as well as a smart alecky, charming protagonist, which we find in Ari. In short, it's a lot of fun, and I do mean a lot of fun. It's 817 pages in the hardcover, so it is a big boy, but certainly I love a big book, and I know a lot of y'all out there love a big book too, and I had just so much fun with it. All sorts of wonderful big things happening, bringing down mountains and coming into your own, and also lots of little things as well, kites and mango shaved ice and a little kitten, and so there's just so much going on and so much that's really wonderful, and it all works as a gestalt. It all comes together in this really excellent and cohesive way, where we get to see, as Ari looks back on his earliest beginnings from where he is at the start of the novel, we get to see how everything's different and nothing's changed, only maybe slightly rearranged, to borrow a turn of phrase from Stephen Sondheim. I had such a wonderful time with The First Binding. I've been looking forward to it for almost a year now. When the cover was revealed last October, it immediately went on to my pre-order list, and so being able to finally read it and talk about it has been a true delight. So, of course, we had to have a drink inspired by The First Binding. So without any further ado, why don't we turn to today's drink? Our drink today is the Gold Road, inspired by The First Binding. It's taking its name from the analog to the Silk Road that we find in the novel. So instead of our Silk Road, they have the Gold Road. We're moving trade, we're moving languages, we're moving cultures, we're seeing similarities and changes all across. That's one of the things that the book's really, engaged with and excited about. And I am too, because I think that's just so rad and neat. So, our drink is the Gold Road. It is a mocktail, so nice, non-alcoholic, inspired by particularly the flavors that we see on the page in Ari's past here in the Mutri Empire on one end of the Gold Road where he grew up. And as it turns out, it makes a really fantastic mocktail for us here in the Northern Hemisphere for autumn. So a lot of those really nice, warm spice flavors coming through for us as well. So why don't we get started? We've got our base ingredient, got a chilled chai here. Just make this however it is that you make your chai, whether you're making it totally from scratch, loose leaf, or from a tea bag, however you're doing it. Just make sure you chill it down afterwards. We always want to use our cold teas when we're using them in our cocktails and mocktails. And we're going to get 2.5 ounces of that in there. And remember, when you're brewing a tea to use in a cocktail or a mocktail, you do want to brew it extra strong just because you want that real punch of flavor to come through. And so you need that little extra intensity, especially when it's chilled down. So we've got our chai here in the mixing glass. To sweeten things up, we've got a mango syrup. We've used mango juice before here, but I wanted to get something a little bit richer, a little bit darker, a little bit more complex. And so what I did to make this is I took 1 cup of mango juice and 3/4 of a cup of white sugar, added these to a saucepan, brought it to a boil, and then let it simmer for 5 to 10 minutes, just enough to sort of thicken and develop some more almost caramely notes. Not quite caramely, but still a little bit darker and richer, as I said, while retaining that tropical flavor that you get from, you know, a nice ripe mango. We're going to get 1/2 ounce of our mango syrup in there. Wonderful. Going to lighten things up a bit, going to brighten things up a bit. And then a little bit of bitters. These are the tart cherry and saffron bitters from 1821, based down in Atlanta, Georgia. They've got a really nice sort of light quality to them while still having that herbalness to them. And we see a lot of red and gold in this novel, and so I wanted to really bring that to the fore. So we're going to get 2 droppers full of those tart cherry and saffron bitters, bringing a bit of bitterness, bringing a bit of light herbaceousness, really lovely and fragrant in ways that are going to complement the mango and the chai, and really completing what ends up being almost a non-alcoholic old-fashioned riff. And for a book that's really concerned with playing around with classics and playing around with archetypes and grand, you know, mimetic themed ideas, using this as a format feels just absolutely apt. Now, got our rocks glass off to the side here, putting a large ice cube down in there, and then we're going to get our ice into our mixing glass. As you can see, I've forgotten my tongs today, but we're problem solvers here, and we'll just fish these ice cubes out. Those are, of course, what's going to cook our mocktail, what's going to bring that dilution factor into play, and one more, what's really going to help us to blend our flavors as we're stirring. Excellent. And then you'll give that a stir for about 20 seconds or so. You really just, you know, do as the spirit moves you. You'll trust and you'll know when it's right. And usually that's right around when the ice and the liquid are in balance. Which, again, appropriate for the first binding. I have a really cool magic system that plays well with the idea of balanced pairs and balanced sets. So, there you go. Wonderful. Take our julep strainer and strain our gold road into our glass. Perfect. And with the wonders of modern refrigeration, we don't even need to take a trip to the fabled ashram to create an icebox of our own. We have them here in our own homes, and this is really easy to do. So, there you have it. This is the Gold Road, a mocktail inspired by the first binding by R.R. Virdi. The first binding is available now. Definitely take the time to dig into this lush, thick, grand, epic fantasy. I'm looking forward to the second volume, hopefully coming soon, maybe even next year, and I'm really looking forward to peeking back at some of my favorite bits in book 1. I have a link down below to find the book from one of our favorite indie bookstores, and to the Boston Shaker, where we get all of our tools and ingredients, the bitters, the tools, to Twitter and Instagram, where there's always a written version of today's recipe. Please try the drink. Let me know what you think, whether it's cooling down for you or still sweltering hot. I think you're going to like this one. Please like, share, subscribe, comment down below. Let all your friends know what we do here. And until next time, cheers.